What's up, my guys, and welcome back to the 8th episode
I forget, it's been so long.
of the Make Me a Sandwich podcast, where I don't really have a plan for this one. I have a couple notes.
Yeah, we just felt like we had to do one.
Yeah, it's been a long hiatus. We have some reasons. Should we go through the reasons, Dan? Let's catch you all up. That's what I have here. Last episode was our Halloween episode. We talked, are we dating the same guy? And then disappeared into the abyss.
You had a seizure.
I did have a seizure. I had a seizure yesterday?
A couple days ago.
2 days ago. So what's happened since then? I started a movie.
Yes.
Our dog died. Sorry, it's really depressing. And we sent out 102 care packages to the military, which was supposed to take 2 days, but it took about 2 months.
Well, that's because you did it by yourself.
I did it by myself, but also the reason I did it by myself is because most of them were all custom boxes because I took requests. My bad, shouldn't have done that. And I had to hand fill out every customs form because you couldn't duplicate them on the USPS website for military addresses. So it just threw our whole schedule for a loop. And yeah, we are recovering from that. We're recovering from the movie premiere.
It's also just the end of the year also just gets busy in content creation with.
And our dog died.
But yeah, and then Jenny passed away, and it was not unexpected,
pleasant.
but it also kind of sort of caught us a little bit off guard. So
yeah, so now we're just pulling it together and trying to get back into the groove. But I guess first, we never really talked to our viewers about Lady Ballers.
Yeah, about why we spent
2 months in Nashville.
The entire 2 months in Nashville.
Yeah, everybody, I never told anybody why I was there. I just said I was working on a secret project. I moved to Nashville in May. I was there all of the rest of May, June, and we left midway through July.
Yep, we came home for a couple days during July 4th. And then
came back around the 11th or 12th.
Back to Nashville and then came back in mid-month.
Yeah, so I was in Nashville because I starred in Lady Ballers as the villain, Gwen. And I don't know if, if you watched me, you probably know that, Daily Wire is Dan and I's thing. That's how I feel like we bonded in the beginning of our relationship. We just watched Matt Walsh every night.
Yeah, it was a convenient thing that I would sit down on the couch and watch Daily Wire on YouTube, and you were like, wait, you watch Daily Wire on YouTube? And then that just became our nighttime wind down routine.
Yeah. So it was it was always my dream to work with them, but it was I would always say oh, that's my dream to work with them one day, but I never thought I would actually meet them or they would even know who I was.
It would be great if I could be the next Brett Cooper or something like that.
Yeah, I would always just talk about meeting all of them.
Maybe someday.
Meeting all of them. It was just a dream.
And then
Dan kept saying you're going to work with the Daily Wire this year, and I was like, okay.
Which, by the way, came true very quickly when you went on Michael Knowles, very shortly after that.
Yeah.
But that was a brief.
That wasn't working with the Daily Wire.
And it was a dating specific thing about Leo DiCaprio, the whole deal. But then
that was enough for me. I had fulfilled my dream in some capacity.
And little did you know that Michael Knowles was going to end up being your best friend of the Daily Wire too, which is hilarious. But
he's awesome.
But I just keep thinking back to when the initial email came through and you just sent it to me. And
I was in a TJ Maxx parking lot.
And I was getting my hair cut.
Yeah, I received the email. And it said Daily Wire movie.
Lowercase w, lowercase m.
Yeah, it didn't look too professional.
RE: in front of it.
I'm sorry, Dallas. It didn't look too professional. But then I started researching where it came from. It came from Dallas, who has, created all of the amazing works that they have there, such as What is a Woman? He was the mastermind behind that. And the emails lined up, and I was like, this is a really good scam if it is a scam.
My kidnapping plot detection was going up.
Yeah. And I replied to the email, and they asked me to audition, and I was like, I don't know if they realize I'm not an actor. We sent in an audition tape I like to call it a half-ass audition tape. You think it was pretty good. It wasn't that great, Dan.
No, I'm not saying it was a great audition tape. What I'm saying is we actually did put a lot of effort into it, and I think that for two people who have when it
came down to it, we filmed it in like 10 minutes and did like one take again, and then I was like, whatever, we're just sending it in. Like, this is as good as it's gonna get.
Well, it was, but we did multiple takes.
Yeah, like 2.
I had some feedback. We tried.
Did not think that anybody other than like Dallas was going to view this. I did not pull myself together. I had like a crop top on and like leggings, like yoga pants. And I didn't look professional.
Well, it was just funny because...
And then the reply is, after we send it in, looks great. I'm going to send this over to Jeremy. And I was like...
Like Jeremy Boring.
Wait, like... Jeremy? Like Jeremy's Razors Jeremy?
Like Jeremy's Chocolates
Because
Jeremy?
I didn't know at the time that everybody at the Daily Wire was in the movie. I didn't know that Jeremy was Coach Rob. I didn't know that anybody was in this movie. So I was like, okay. And then Dallas calls us later that night and was like, okay, so let me just give you a rundown of the movie. Basically, Jeremy's Coach Rob. Matt Walsh is... Chris. Brett Cooper, Michael Knowles are the other news reporters, and I'm just we're sitting at the kitchen table over here, and I'm like, my jaw's on the floor, and I'm like, I'm looking at Dan, and I'm like,
I'm laughing.
I can't do it. And we get off the phone with him. He's like, Jeremy might be interested. I'll let you know tomorrow. That morning, I wake up, open my eyes. First thing I see is a text from Dallas asking if I could go to Nashville right now to meet Jeremy and him. Fly to Nashville right away, meet with them. I do not realize at the time that I'm most likely going through an interview process looking back on it.
God, I don't know why I didn't think to prepare you for this.
I mean, thank God you didn't. I would have been even more nervous.
Like,
I was kind of just like, oh, I'm talking to all of these cool people. Like I'm just having a casual conversation.
Just like anyone who's ever been through an interview process, particularly in like finance or tech or anything like that. It's like you go through a string of like, email and then first call, and then there's some kind of a test or an audition that maybe you do.
Opening my water.
And then you go for sort of your next interview if they're really interested. And then you go in person for your final interview. And usually that's a really good sign. Like you're going for the in-person final interview. And it's really just the whole like, okay, let's just make sure that they're not like a total cultural, misfit. And
I was just in such a total shock that I didn't even think.
So I know that I'm dropping her off at the airport and she's going to go be told, like, you're in a movie so long as she doesn't show up and completely blow it with her. She's not going to do. But she's going there thinking, like, all right, I guess, like, I'm just going to, like, go meet some people and... Like, and then she called me. She's just like, yeah, like they sent me into like a bunch of different rooms and like they like knew my whole like history. It was weird. And I'm just like, yeah, they did a background check, you idiot.
I don't think it was a background. I think they just like researched me on, like they watched a lot of my videos. Like they knew of some specific videos when I was bringing it up, and I was like, oh, they like.
I was like, it was an interview.
Know who I am.
It's an interview, you idiot. You're not going there just to be like, hi, I'm Billie Rae. Like. So she calls me and she's telling me all this. She's like, yeah, they like did all this weird stuff. I'm like, it's not weird. It's a company interviewing a potential employee. But long story short,
then you get a FaceTime call of Dallas and I at the table.
Yeah, and they were just like,
Dallas told you. I was like, you have to break the news to Dan.
Yeah, so yeah, Dallas told me.
I walked back into the office, and Jeremy's sitting in there with Dallas, and Jeremy was like, let's make a movie. And I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
And Jeremy had to leave to go into a meeting. So it was just me and Dallas at this point because we had to make travel plans. And I was like, Dallas, you have to get on the phone and FaceTime my boyfriend.
Well, by the way, they told you like, all right, are like you're like ready to get started? You were like, I don't have anything.
Yeah, I didn't bring any clothes.
They were like, oh, okay, like fly home now and then come back first thing tomorrow. So
there ended up being like a hurricane that day too.
Yeah. So like barely snuck in. I flew you back and then you were there for, I don't know, a week and a half before I decided to get in the car and come up and
just live there with me.
Well, at first I was like, I'm going to go surprise her for a little bit because I had the dog and like I've got a job but I knew that she was stressed. I knew that you were going crazy, and I know that you're also just generally nervous staying in places you're not familiar with by yourself.
With all of the people I've dreamed of working with, it was just like so much pressure.
But then, once I was there and once I realized like what her schedule was going to look like, and I realized what her disposition was about to be like for the next like month and a half, I was like, all right, I should probably just set up shop.
Yeah.
So we lived out of literally like a 1-bedroom suite at what was it called?
No, we can't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we set up a 1-bedroom suite in Nashville, and we were just there. I was lucky enough to see one day on set, which was really cool. And I met a lot of people. And then
he was asked to be one of the extras, but he didn't jump in quickly enough.
Well, I didn't. It's your thing. I didn't want to be a part of your thing. It's your thing. But yeah.
But he was like right behind the camera for the bar scene.
Right.
You were literally right in the.
$500 is just the beginning. Yeah.
He knows my lines.
Yeah, I know all of her fucking lines. Someone had to read them with her the night before. So, but yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, then
I got to meet a lot of people from the Daily Wire, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of like sort of a mini dream come true, right?
But then we came home and just went back to normal life and couldn't tell anybody what we just did for 2 months.
Yeah, we were just hanging out.
We were just in Nashville. A lot of people guessed correctly, though. I had a lot of people DMing me saying,
"Oh my God, you're a conservative girl who went to Nashville to work on a project."
Yeah.
With who?
So we came home, couldn't talk about it, and then got word literally a week or two before the red carpet,
right?
That the movie was coming out.
I think it was 10 days.
It was like 10 days, and I had to get a gown, get it altered.
I had to get a black suit.
I literally got the email and drove that day to Tampa.
I literally bought a black suit on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Like for the event.
So, yeah, we threw that together. It went to Nashville. The movie was awesome. The response was mind-blowing. I mean, it was all over Twitter for days, weeks. Rotten Tomatoes, the reviews are crushing. The audience scores crushing.
You were trending above Reese Witherspoon and Chris Pratt for a day.
I think I was 2 behind Chris Pratt.
But you were above Reese Witherspoon.
Above Reese Witherspoon on IMDb.
What? Like it's hard?
And yeah, anything else that happened? I mean, we stayed there for an extra day. We filmed a little behind the scenes thing, which you can find on Daily Wire Plus's YouTube page. That was a fun little bit we did.
Would you, well, first of all, I've told you this countless times. I'll say it on camera just for the record that you were incredible as an actress. Incredible. I sat down to watch the movie.
Some of the scenes needed improving, but they were the ones that I filmed early on.
I sat down, obviously oh, by the way, can I just talk about the fact that because you were the star of the movie, I didn't realize that like we were going to be sitting in the row of the movie theater with like all the other stars. It's like my neighbors are like, it's like I could like reach out and touch like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh in the theater. It was crazy.
You were sitting next to.
I was sitting next to Andrew Clavin. Had a full conversation with him before. Seth, who's the CEO of the Babylon Bees, right behind me, just like tapped me on the shoulder. Good to see you again. Like it's just hilarious. But
Dan sits down and he goes, "So I guess we're like in the row."
And you were like, "Yeah, we're in the row." But I thought you crushed.
We still look like 2 like fangirls talking about this, and it's just crazy that I just still can't believe I was a part of it.
Well, I was going to say, you and enough people have told you at this point that you were not just tremendous for someone who has never acted before. You were actually tremendous as an actress. Like people have made that noted. They've noted that to you multiple times. So do you think that you'll act again, even if the person producing the movie, even if the people producing the movie are not the Daily Wire?
I don't know. I don't think I would ever want to make acting my career. If it was a Daily Wire project, 100% hands down would totally do it. amazing to work with. I felt like I was just working with my best friends every day, even though I was just a complete fan and like probably shouldn't have even, security shouldn't have let me through the door. I was like nearly in tears when I saw that. Like I shouldn't have been there. But if it was with them, absolutely. Depends on what the project would be. I liked that project because I felt like I was contributing towards like something meaningful. I wouldn't want to, I mean, it really depends on what the storyline would be. I really felt like I did something powerful with that movie. And that's why I wanted to be a part of it. But yeah, I don't know.
Well,
they would have to have meaning.
Well, did you enjoy acting, or did you just enjoy being in something with these people?
I enjoyed acting once I wasn't like, once everybody was familiar and I wasn't starstruck by the people. Like what? Gosh, the first week I was there, I did rehearsals basically at the Daily Wire office with Jeremy and then some of the producers and camera crew and just everybody there that was just helping me out and getting me familiar with everything. And that was, I did not like that. I mean, it wasn't a bad environment. It was just like still being surrounded by all of these people that I'm starstruck by and just feeling like I just like I wanted to impress them, and I was putting so much pressure on myself that like I actually had to, the acting coach I was working with had to bring me into her apartment and like massage my head because I had such a bad tension headache. It was like my whole body was sore. I've never dealt with stress the way I did during those first few days. Like I was physically sick. So that wasn't enjoyable the first few days. But once I actually like was on a first name basis with everybody and wasn't so scared like with my environment, and once I was on the movie set and had a couple days to like actually act and process everything, then it was a lot of fun. I would totally do that again. But I think initially it was just like such a scary environment for me that I didn't know if I was going to enjoy it. But like I enjoyed everything about it. I enjoyed the things that like apparently actors don't enjoy, like the sitting around. Like I heard that like I think it's called like hurry up and wait. That's like the acting lingo. Like I enjoyed all of that. I would have sat on set for like 20 hours. I mean, I did. Like I would have sat an additional 20 hours if they needed me to. I would have done anything. Like I just found the whole thing to be so much fun. I sat in hair and makeup for like a couple hours at a time every day, multiple times a day. I loved every minute of it.
Well,
And also I think this is so like, I don't know. I can't compare it to like a Hollywood film. I feel like if you were working on a Hollywood film, there's so many different like people there. Everybody here had the same values. They were working towards the same goal. There was no drama. Everybody liked each other. I would assume that Hollywood is probably not like that. I don't know.
It could be the exact inverse, right?
Yeah.
So like it could be the same thing, where they just assume that everyone thinks the same way that they do, right?
Yeah.
I will say, what was fascinating about this is that I think it was an excellent blend of all of the things that you're really good at. I think that's why you enjoyed acting. And again, everything I'm about to say is not like this is not meant to offend you, and I hope nobody else takes offense on her behalf. It's like, when it comes to things that are, you do well with things that are very, very structured, that have just a little bit of room for creativity. Like, I am not good with like the sit around, like hurry up and wait. I'm not good at putting or organizing things or like following things in a checklist, but I can get hyper creative and very original with you. And a lot of people probably don't realize this, seeing your content. Like obviously I help you with some of your writing, but like you like stress over your scripts. You're like, fuck, like this is hard. Like you really, really have to like dig deep to come up with like the best thing that you want to get across when you're doing your work. And you do it well, but it zaps you. With the movie role, it's like everything was kind of mapped out in terms of where you needed to be, when you needed to be there, what you needed to say, who you needed to listen to, but you also had to be the one who just added that bit of creativity where you created your character. So it was like just enough fun creativity for you that you were like, no, I'm going to decide what Gwen Wild or who Gwen Wild is. They're going to decide what Gwen Wild is. And I think you had fun working with your two acting coaches to like really, really kind of like get into that psychotic, like total, like out of this world, like just psycho bitch who was Gwen Wild, and you just really, really owned that. You created the character like so effectively. I know which order the scenes were filmed in. They only know the chronology of the movie, and I can just see like as you went through the movie how you just like completely became like more and more and more Gwen Wild. And
yeah, I guess watching the movie, maybe it wasn't consistent because there were definitely some scenes that were like early on where I was nervous and they weren't
overacting a little bit here and there.
They weren't in the beginning of the movie. And also, I think I noticed this more than the typical viewer. I actually didn't really get negative feedback from viewers. I'm sure there's a lot out there. There's a lot of, negative reviews everywhere.
Wait, you haven't heard all the incels who are repulsed by the fact that you were a dominatrix?
Right. But no, I think at the end of the day, like I'm going to be my toughest critic.
And then I was going to be your second harshest critic.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm happy with, watching that first rehearsal I did with Jeremy, thinking of that compared to how it came out. Yeah, I'm thrilled.
Yeah. No, I thought you did an amazing job. I honestly think that you could. I know that you don't want to make it your career, and I'm not even suggesting that you do, but I think that if you get another opportunity to do something, I think that you would thoroughly enjoy it. Like, it would be a little bit different because it wouldn't be these people who like handpicked you, who know for certain that like they're just going to be able to like say whatever they want, do whatever they want, have a good time with you. And there's also probably going to be a little bit more pressure on you next time, knowing that you have acted now, right? So there isn't going to be that same degree of patience that they may have had with you. But I think that if you could find a project, like you said, that is meaningful and gets a significant message across that you can get behind, I think you should do it, and I think you could
consider.
Do it. Yeah. So,
but I have other things to do right now, like fight for men. All right, we're gonna rapid fire it because if we don't rapid fire it, Dan is going to keep doing his best Jordan Peterson and talk for like 20 minutes on each question. So I'm just going to start picking out ones I see. What kind of sandwich should I make? Oh, I just made. Oh, that wasn't a sandwich.
You should make.
I should make that into a sandwich tomorrow.
You should make a beef bacon and egg sandwich on sourdough for me.
Oh, that sounds good. We've been eating beef bacon from this like produce store near us.
All of it. Beef
bacon, didn't know it was a thing, but it's really good. And we've become sourdough fans. Male and female, just friends living together and trying to navigate dating.
Just friends?
So they're just friends, but I guess they're trying to navigate dating with other people, but then they like bring the person back to I guess they're roommates. They're just roommates, and then they're in the dating world.
Good luck.
That's an interesting.
Are you friends, or are you just like Craigslist roommates?
I don't know. But if there's a problem, it sounds like there's some chemistry. There has to be.
Yeah.
If it's a problem for you to date. Okay. Anyway, is it acceptable for guys to expect 50-50 if you value traditional gender roles?
For guys to accept?
Expect.
To expect.
Is it acceptable for guys to expect 50-50 if you value traditional gender roles?
So what? This is a woman asking. This is a woman asking the question. So it's a woman asking if a traditional man, if it's fair for a traditional man to expect her to contribute 50-50, at least early on in the dating process.
That's not clear, but I would assume so.
Okay, because I would imagine that if they're both traditional, he would eventually want to be someone who is providing. But yeah, this one's a little bit. Again, you want to talk about things that I could talk about for a while. This is probably one of them, but I don't know. In this particular time in history, with the amount of dates that we could potentially be going on, and especially with the amount of dates that girls could be going on at the drop of a hat, I think it's fair for men, regardless of what their value system is, to at least expect in on maybe the first date or two that the girl would be willing to go 50-50. As the relationship progressed, that man should probably start to demonstrate his willingness and desire to be a provider. But I think if the two people are interested in getting to know one another, I think it's fair, with the fact that nowadays, with the fact that women, especially young women, work and match or even outperform men financially, that you would be willing to go 50-50 to sort of eliminate any and all of that anxiety and stress, at least for a first date. If a guy wants to pay, go for it. Like, absolutely go for it. I don't think that's going to hurt you. But
What if a girl wants to pay?
I would say if you're a guy, you should be fighting tooth and nail, because that's probably a test to at least go 50-50.
I would agree.
The other...
As a girl, I'm saying that's probably a test.
The other thing that I always advise is, I think that first dates, you should be trying to spend as little money as possible. I think that you should be going for coffee. I think you should be going for even no money at all. Go for walks, something like that. Just be like, hey, I'd love to just have you join me for a walk. See if we like each other, that kind of thing. And then if that goes well, actually take her on a date. I just think the modern world has changed this. It used to be, you get one chance to take a girl out. You got to make that good impression. You got to I think that's different now. So I think it is fair to expect 50-50 early on. If you decide you don't want to go 50-50, that's fine.
Why should men not lose hope in the dating market?
Because they could find a girl like you.
Oh. Why do women flake on dates the day of?
Oof.
I guess that's a question for me.
I have thoughts on it too, but you should definitely answer this.
I've never flaked on a date the day of.
You, hey, you know what? You definitely...
I've been okay, so the reason I was,
I just say, you were nervous to go out with me. You sort of tried to cancel.
So my flakiness in dating, I don't think I ever flaked on a date. I never was a no-show. If I have plans with somebody, I'm going to show up to the plans. But the reason I tried to get out of plans when I was dating was because I would have such extreme anxiety about the date. There has not been a first date. I haven't gone on many first dates. So each first date I went, it wasn't another day, another date. It wasn't I was used to going on first dates. So every first date I went on, I was extremely stressed over it. And I would I tried to I don't know what I did.
Yeah, you would try to buy yourself more time, or you'd think that you weren't ready yet, or something like that. I will also say the reason why you did not go on as many dates as I think the average girl your age is because most of the girls, I don't want to say most, I want to say a lot of girls your age who are young professionals are living in major cities where the access to going out on these dates is way more readily available. So not only were you obviously much more selective, but you weren't out living on your own in a big city where you're just swiping on guys all the time. Your availability just wasn't there. So when you would go on a date, it was just oh, well, I'm going to be getting ready, probably going someplace somewhat far away from my house to do it. So I think there were a few things that impacted you, but I also just think that girls are naturally anxious, first of all.
Yeah, I think I would like to say that flakiness is because they're anxious, but I've heard so many stories of girls that just have other men in their back pocket, and that's why they're flaky. So it depends on the girl. It's really hard to answer that not knowing anything about the girl.
I will say, girls are very non-confrontational, at least overtly. They're not very overtly confrontational. So it's very rare that you're going to have a girl tell you straight up, like, I'm no longer interested in going out with you. It's happened. Like, I've had girls who, like, before a date happens, they'll be like, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I've actually been seeing another guy, and I think it wouldn't be fair to him if I went out with you. Now, was she lying or telling the truth? I don't really know. But if she's telling the truth, I'm totally fine with that. And most guys are totally cool with them being honest. But I will say, girls are interesting in the way that they understand how to trigger immediate emotional responses. So let's say, for all intents and purposes, you have a date tonight, and 2 days ago she was like, yeah, like, say it was Monday, and she's like, yeah, like, Thursday sounds like a good day for a date. But then all of a sudden, like, her Wednesday kind of goes badly, and then she's having to stress extra at work on Thursday, and she just has this feeling inside of her like she's not going to be able to put on her best show on a date, or she's not going to be able to show up the way that she wants to show up. That girl, rather than, and I know I'm speaking in generalities here, but that girl, rather than simply telling you, like, hey, I had a rough day at work, and I'm not really feeling up to going out today. I still want to go out with you, but just, I don't feel like I'm going to be able to put on a good first impression, and I'm a little bit worn out from my last 2 days. Is there anything?
Because girls can't communicate. Girls don't know how to communicate with men. They communicate with men as if they're communicating with their girlfriends. They don't want to, like, let them down. So they don't speak to them like they're speaking to a man.
Yes, but I actually think it's even one layer deeper. Women are more concerned with the immediate emotional response of somebody than the long-term emotional response of somebody.
Yeah.
So a girl...
That's why I don't read my text messages.
So a girl will either completely lie to you. A girl would rather completely lie to you in a way that makes you feel good, where she'll say something just like, hey, like something came up, like, I'm really, really sorry. Like, she would rather do something like that, where it's like, oh, something came up. It's not that I'm, like, actively deciding that I don't want to go on a date with you. It's something came up. And then she'll ghost you, because that girl would much rather you be confused than upset. She actually, in her head, thinks that, yeah, confusion isn't as bad as sadness. So in order for me to get what I want, which is to not go on the date, and for him to have the best possible outcome with my preferred outcome, I'm going to just lie and ghost rather than say something that will make him feel bad right now. Even though saying the thing that makes him feel bad right now, he'll get over it instantly and be happier in the long run. So I think you're right. Girls don't know how to communicate. They just know how to induce an immediate emotional response from people. So I know we went probably deeper on that question than you may have expected us to, but this is something you need to realize about girls. They are oftentimes concerned with your immediate emotional stance. It's why a girl will be complaining about, like, I can't believe, like, this guy did this to me again, and they're just like, oh, like, honey, I know, like, that just sucks, doesn't it? Like, they'll agree, when in the back of their head they're just like, yeah, like, you dumb bitch, you do this all the fucking time. But they're gonna figure out a way to let her be happy with, like, validation and agreement, and then maybe some other time slip in some kind of truth. Whereas a guy would look at their buddy and be like, dude, like, you're an idiot. Like, why are you not seeing that? Because, and guys respect that about one another, that we'll just tell each other this. So Yeah, there's a lot of like weird depth to the way that women will flake. But yeah, I think it really comes down to a combination of anxiety and wanting to make sure that they optimize, or I should say, they minimize the negative emotion that you immediately feel. Yeah.
A last question that's rapid fire. 3 ways that men can level up in 2024. I guess level up themselves. That was the question.
I'm trying to think of like how to make it applicable to 2024.
3 ways.
I don't just want to say
Get
like,
a haircut.
yeah, I don't just want to say like haircut, gym, and
Clothes.
and clothes. I think something that I'm doing this year, like way more that I think.
Nutrition.
Well, I was going to mention that, but one thing that I'm doing this year in particular that I have not committed myself to in previous years is reading. I have a collection of books that I plan on reading to just level up like essential skills that maybe I think I'm already pretty good at, but I just want to completely master. Things like my communication, things like my ability to negotiate, things like my ability to build my business up, like all these different things. Like I think just consuming other successful people's thoughts, I think is going to be a beneficial thing for me. So that's one thing that I'm definitely going to be doing. Nutrition. You just mentioned nutrition. We have completely and utterly.
Billie Rae's lost her mind.
We have gone crazy with our nutrition.
Hippy dippy.
Like
Crunchy.
Yeah, but this is going to be mainstream in a couple of years. I really think it is. Like
so.
We are
like making our own sauerkraut. We are fermenting our own cabbage.
Yeah.
We are eating bee pollen. We're
using
raw
organic.
milk.
We're using organic toothpastes. We're using.
We scrape our tongue before we eat every day.
We only drink like mountain water.
That's not mountain water.
Or alkaline water.
I hate to break it to you, that will no longer be our water. We're switching to a mountain water.
Are we switching to a mountain water?
In glass bottles, yeah.
Leveling up in 2024. Yeah. But we won't drink. We won't even let tap water into like our coffee mugs to like clean them. I think that doing some research into food and deciding
and how it affects everything in your body, like hormones for men and women.
I think one way that you can level up is actually deciding to budget for an improved nutrition, because it will cost you some more money to get the level of food that you would need to avoid a lot of the chemicals and the hormone disruptors that are in our food today. But if you can really commit to nutrition, that will definitely help you elevate your testosterone. It'll help you sleep better. It'll help you focus better, and just generally help you live longer, which is great. And then I don't know, a third way to do it.
What's something new that you're doing? You look at the light in the morning.
Play chess. No.
Please, we don't need it. Please.
Yeah, I would say.
Oh, have some plants in your bedroom. I found a video about that the other night.
I would definitely say, if you don't already listen to Andrew Huberman, listen to Andrew Huberman. That man will install protocols into your life that will completely and utterly change the game for you. I fall off of my protocols with him sometimes, and my life instantly gets worse. Easiest way to start every single morning by trying to wake up somewhat close to when the sun is rising and immediately go outside and get orange rays in your eyes. That will set your circadian rhythm. You'll sleep like a baby consistently. You'll wake up without an alarm clock at the exact same time every day, and you will be more productive than ever in the mornings.
We still have not accomplished that.
We've been bad with it. Again, we've had a rough couple of months, right? Just all the travel ever since June, the movie, all that stuff. But I will say that usually, and you remember when you first met me, how crazy I was with this stuff. Go watch Huberman. Consume his content if you don't already. But one of the big things that he talks about is getting outside first thing in the morning and getting sun in your eyes. that will completely change the game. And I can tell you right now, my life is always at its peak when I am waking up same time without an alarm clock, and just I'm hyper productive, especially in my mornings. So that'd be my 3 things. Commit to reading more this year than you ever have. Up your nutrition in a huge way, and start listening to Andrew Huberman and instituting some of his protocols for your body. So
I think that's it.
yeah, so kind of a clunky first podcast back.
Yeah, we're gonna go watch the last episode of Gypsy Rose.
I thought we were gonna watch the last episode of Avatar.
Yeah, we've been watching Avatar. Well, that's an hour and a half. Gypsy Rose is probably only 40 minutes, and it's already like 10:30. So
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah. So. All right, guys, we'll be back
next week.
Hopefully next week.
Yeah. No, we're scheduling.
All right, we're back. Bye.